Hey guys, this is just a bit of a follow-up video to my selfie wings video. I'm basically going to be converting it from the original layout that I had, which was a Raspberry Pi using GPIO 18 and 19 to a level shifter out to the pixels, to the wings. Originally I had this set up so you can press a button on a control panel and it'll switch between outputs to the pixels. So I'd have one from a main show controller which would come into here, and pressing a button would make the Pi play a sequence, and it would take the wings off the main show and it would play the sequence that was on the Pi, and then after 2 minutes it would flick back to the main show using these two relays here for port 1 and 2. So what I'm going to do here is I've got my hands on a couple of these PiCap V2s, and I'm going to convert it to, instead of using the level shifter and this, I'm going to set it up to use the PiCap. Now the only reason I'm doing this is because I got a couple of these and I thought I might as well give it a shot, put them to use. This system works fine. It worked last season perfectly. Had no issues with it, and but I've decided I'm just going to redo it because I can. So I got a couple of these PiCaps, and of course they don't have breakout headers on them, so I needed to get a breakout board so I can access the GPIOs. So this is just a breakout board with a stackable header with screw terminals for the GPIOs. And so what'll just be this, that the PiCap will sit on top of this, and then this will sit on top of the Raspberry Pi, like that, and that'll give me the ability to use the GPIOs that the PiCap's not using to control the relays and sense the button presses and that. And yeah, this was pretty simple setup. It just has a power distribution, a power supply, some ports for power inject, and the two ports out, one for the left and right wings. And yeah, like I mentioned before, the relays would switch the inputs. I'd have inputs from the main controllers here, which would come to here. The Pi would also go to here, and just switch backwards and forwards. And then a level shifter, because my system's 12 volts, it would just drop it down to 5 volts. So with all of that out of the way, I'll get to redesigning this, and I'll show you the GPIOs that I've found to be unused in the PiCap. They are a little bit different to what I've used here already, but I've pretty much worked around that. So I should be able to use the same 5 buttons and the 2 relays without affecting any of the functions of the PiCap. Alright, here we go. I've removed all of my old wiring. I've got the PiCap here with the header breakout board. I've removed all the fuses from the PiCap because I'm not going to be pulling power through it, so I only need the data to come from it. And I've removed the OLED, which is there. I don't need the OLED because this is just going in the box, and yeah, so I don't need the output of the OLED. I've basically set it all back up the same using cat cable to the controller, and the 2 relays. It's a much cleaner setup from before where I had the level shifter and everything. And yeah, we'll put it all back together and see how we go. Alright, that's everything in there. So that's all in there nice and happily, as you can see. The reason I don't need to pull the power through the Pi and everything, because I've got a distro board here which is putting power directly to the pixels. My Halo is also 5 volts, so I've got a 5 volt output here because the rest's 12 volt, and then the fan, and then like before, the simple inputs from the main controller, and then your outputs to the wings and power for the Halo. So I have the data coming for the Halo off the right wing, so it's just power. In FPP they have changed some changed some stuff in the 8.2, so I had to do a modification to the script, and we'll have a look at that next on the computer. But while we're here, we'll just power this up. So she's all ready to go, all lit up. It's exactly the same as before, like the other wings. So we'll just plug some lights in to test. That's there, so they can be seen. And now, just for the input, instead of using my controller, I'm just going to use my pixel tester for the input. And this will simulate the input from the house controller to from the main show. So there we go. This is just playing from the main, like from the pixel tester. So that again would be indicative of the main show, main controller. And of course I've got the control panel here, so I hit yellow button and then we'll go to yellow, light button, and we'll go green button, and we'll move it around, red button, and then the blue button. So yeah, it's a fairly simple setup. So yeah, it works exactly like it did before, except for I just don't have the level shifter in there. I'm using a PiCap V2, and the breakout board just gives the ability to screw in wires to the GPIOs. Now this should kick back soon. And there we go. So that's just kicked back into the main, what's on the pixel tester here. It's obviously got a stupid pattern, so we'll just plug it back in. And then yeah, it's the same rainbow pattern. And of course if you unplug that, it'll just stop, because there's nothing plugged into it. So yeah, that's the hardware side of it. Now we'll just have a quick look on the computer. Alright, here we are at the computer, and I've just gone into my wing show, and like before, just set up a controller. You can do it via start channel, or you can set up a controller here. So you select Falcon PiCap V2, and yeah, you can set it up how you like. You don't have to do it like this. If you want to use the visualizer, then obviously you want to set up the controller like this, but again you can just use the start channel. And then of course you've got your layout, so you put your props and everything in, and then your sequencer. So it's all pretty much the same as the last video when it comes to X-Lights, except for just setting up your controller if you want to use the visualizer. Now when I was messing around with the PiCap, I've gone through and worked out as many of the GPIOs that are in use by the PiCap as possible. There's no documentation about this, so I might be missing some, or I might be wrong, but from what I can establish anyway, these are the used GPIOs, which is the buttons on the PiCap, like the menu buttons. I think you can disable those, but I'm not going to bother with it. And then your pixel ports, and then the OLED screen, and then the DMX. So all of those are taken, which basically leaves these for the wing project. So you got the relays to switch between shows, which is GPIO 17, and then the LEDs, which is the backlights and the buttons, which is switch off and on, that's GPIO 4, and then like the last project, it's much the same. You've got your red button, green button, your coloured buttons on those GPIOs. And like before, you set this in your config.txt of the root of the Raspberry Pi, just so it turns the LEDs on when you boot the Pi. Okay, and I've done the wiring schematics here, which is fairly basic. if you're using a 5-volt system to power the Pi and that. You can power the Pi off 12 volt through the Pi cap, but I've got, in my setup, I've got two 5-volt relays, so I've just decided to power the Pi via 5 volt because I've already got this there. But yeah, you can power the Pi cap straight from 12 volt, and if you get 12 volt relays, then you won't need to worry about that. And again, it's just like the other project, except for you're going to the Pi cap's pixel ports for the inputs or the outputs here, and then the 5-volt pixel system, so you don't need to step down. Most of this is pretty, self-explanatory. You're just connecting the button wires to the GPIOs. And then again, this is the FPP script. Now I've used the FPP 8.2, and I've noticed that they've taken away some of the commands. They no longer work, so I've had to use the REST API. So this script's been updated for both projects, so it uses the REST API to perform the same commands. So yeah, you just, like the other video, you just put this script in and set it up. And then this is how it's set up in FPP. So when you go to your input output, you go to Pi cap v2. FPP should automatically detect that you've got the Pi cap in, and it'll come up here. As far as I know, you don't need a license because this is Falcon, so buying the Pi cap v2 grants you the license to use it with FPP. You can go to, I think it's download here. So yeah, you'll see here Pi cap v2 and then licensed output unlimited. So as far as I know, you don't need to purchase a license when you're using this brand of Pi cap, because the same people that make FPP are making the Pi cap. And then you go to your GPIOs, and of course here's these GPIOs here for the navigation, the buttons on the Pi cap, so you just leave them alone. And then down here, just like the other project, you're setting up run script, and then the sequence you want to play, and then the time you want to play it for on these GPIOs. So it's very much the same as the other project that I did, except for we're just swapping it out for a Pi cap instead of building a logic level shifter and all of that stuff. And again, all of the files and schematics and everything for this are all on my GitHub page, which I'll put in the video description, and it's pretty much straightforward. The original non-cape version is under Pi hat, so if you go in there you'll still find all of the old information for the old setup, and the new one's under Pi cap, and that'll be under there. So yeah, I hope that helps if you decide to use a Pi cap and break out the GPIOs for your wing project. It's worth it. Last year when I ran it just with my setup with the level shifter, it was, a lot of people loved it. There was a lot of people out there pressing buttons and taking photos. So the wings are going with the show at the moment, with the halo there. Of course you come up and press a button, and it'll take them off the show, light the halo up white, and that'll run for 2 minutes independently from the show, so you can take selfies. And then after 2 minutes they'll click back in and be a part of the show. So yeah, and the wings are fun to click back into the show. So as you can see, they're all a part of it again, just so they don't stand out, or they don't sit there dark. They catch your eye, but then you can spot the buttons on it. People come up and press the button.